Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I am finally live on my YouTube channel and my LinkedIn. Schedule H is by billing level. So you can have a contract. Your contract can have multiple projects. That project can have several tasks. And each task can have several billing levels. So in theory, I know this is inverted. So in theory, this is what your accounting system looked like: contract, project, task, billing. For your incurred cost submission, you have to report for the Schedule H at billing level for the Schedule H. Now, one contract has one, you have multiple rates theoretically. You bill one overhead rate, one G&A rate for your company. That's your bill rate. You may have a contract that tells you you have to use a certain overhead rate because they refuse to pay for facility costs. So you have to, for just that one contract, pull out facility and run a different rate. Please stop trying to do a live with me and you haven't even jumped in my comment section. So then you have a overhead one. So for your incurred cost submission, you then have to have two columns that show overhead, your regular overhead, and then overhead one that's only applied to that particular contract. Now, I'm keeping it simple, but this is just the levels. Your columns show your overhead, overhead one, your labor, and your other costs, your facility, your other costs are across the top. So down the side, you have your projects on the bill level. Everything's on a billing level, but then across the top, you have your overhead and all this stuff. If you offer insurance, because I was thinking of what it's called, but I needed to break it down. If you offer insurance, that's a fringe. So then you have your fringe rate. That's over here, what your fringe rate is and what that cost is. Once you get finished with all that, you have to reconcile that. That reconciliation has to tie back to another schedule on the incurred cost submission. That's why you need an accounting system. Hello. And that's why you don't wait till the end of the year. I mean, this is quick and dirty. This is real quick and dirty. And I didn't intend to do this morning, but that's real quick and dirty. That's why you need to tie it out every month and you don't wait till the end of the year. That's why at the end of the year, you have to close out whenever your year ends because you only have 6 months to turn in your incurred cost submission to the government. So if your year ends December 31st, you have until June 30th to turn that into the government. Now, for somebody that's saying, okay, that's not a big deal, the larger you are, the more cumbersome that is, because the incurred cost submission has multiple tabs. You have your Schedule I, which is all of your contracts and whether or not they're still open or closed. Your Schedule H, I just showed you, quick and dirty, which reports your contract, your open ones for the year at billing level. Then you have your fringe. Your Schedule M is you sit in the seat of the CEO. That's where you're saying, I vow upon penalty of prison that this submission is true and accurate and complete at the time of submission. Keep in mind, everything you turn in is current, accurate, and complete at the time of submission. See, I'm trying to break it down and keep it simple because I'm on a live and I had no intention of going this way. I'm just running this off the top of my head. For some of you, most of these schedules will be like an NA because it doesn't apply. Like your first year turning in your incurred cost submission, you won't have a Schedule I, but you will turn in a Schedule I with the NA because you have nothing to close out. Your Schedule I is what they use to do closeouts for. That is the purpose of your closeout, the Schedule I. Does this make sense? Don't even ask me why I went this direction. I don't know. I just threw it out there. But it's part of the reason why you need to have a stable system. Everybody wants to rush to a proposal, but where are you going? You will use these systems and these schedules, and all of the schedules have to tie out. Because you will actually, your Schedule A is your fringe. You actually turn in a download of your general ledger because that is how the government audits you. The government use your books to audit you with. So your trial balance, your general ledger, everything has to tie back out. So why do I need a compliance officer? Why do you need to know me? I just showed you one reason why you need to know me. I just showed you why. Because you need a me to do that. And part of that is doing testing while your accounting department closes out for the year to test to make sure when you're doing all of the, because during the course of the year, you find that you may have misclassified some things, you move some things around. Well, while your accounting department is handling that, I come in to make sure everything zeroes out, because guess what? You don't want the government to come and ask you, well, where's this at? Because they look at that. They look at the credits and the debits and make sure they true out, they zero out. Because they want to see why you're moving stuff. And do you want to know why they want to see that? Because that's how they find fraud. People want to know, well, how did the government find that out? Because people are sloppy. A judge once said, I have a degree in legal studies. And one of the guest judges made a statement, and it was funny at the time. And I watch a lot of judge shows, not the funny slapstick judge shows, but I find anyway, I find judge shows very interesting. So Thank you, because that was just so ridiculous. I don't know. It's early in the morning. Why are the trolls out? It's too early for trolls. Get a life. Um, One of the guest judges made the statement, and I'm gonna go here. This is a segue. If you came in here to try to fat shame me, I know my story. It won't happen. I'm working on my shape. It won't happen. Moving on. Go find somebody who's gonna go cry in a corner. That ain't me. Anywho, she made the statement that criminals are ultimately stupid, which is how they get caught. And that's true. They get caught because they don't tie up the loose ends. They get caught because they make somebody mad and they tell on somebody, and that person tells on them. They get caught. Criminals get caught for the dumbest reasons. And there was a whole audit, which is why they started doing floor labor checks, where there were people, there were government contractors reporting fake employees so that they could inflate their rate to get more money. Well, somebody found it suspicious and decided to go check on a whim because things were suspicious. You know the song, Don't Be Suspicious? Well, this person was suspicious. Not only did they pull up on the office and the office was empty, not only did they go to the floor and there was no such company, there were no employees. So guess what the government did? They created a floor labor check. So guess what you have to do as a part of your incurred cost submission? Submit a list of your employees. That's part of your incurred cost submission. As a part of your incurred cost submission, you have to submit a list of your top paid employees. So everybody who want to talk about government contractor CEO make a whole lot of money, that's capped. There's a cap on how much you can claim. And everything over that goes into unallowable. So it cannot be used in the creation or the calculation of your rates. No, that's why it cannot be claimed. It's an unallowable cost. And that every year they release what that rate is, that amount is adjusted every year, and it's adjusted for inflation, which means that it stays the same. It's just adjusted every year. Because one day we're a bunch of geeks. I just realized I worked for a bunch of geeks. People don't realize that inflation devalues the dollar. So the dollar really hasn't changed that much. So every time that dollar amount goes up, it really means it stayed the same. So I would have to look it up. I don't want to throw out amount. So for this example, I'm making it up because I haven't looked it up in a while. So if the max compensation for executive compensation is $350,000, I've totally made that up. And the highest person in your company makes $400,000, $50,000 is unallowable. So when you go to calculate your rates, you have to take $50,000 and make it unallowable and pull it out of your rates and cannot use it in the calculation of rates. And what that means is you cannot recoup $50,000 in your government contracts. So that is $50,000 worth of cost you cannot recoup. So there are caps in place. So all of this, government contractors make a whole lot of money. That is why even bonuses, there are caps in bonuses in government contracting. So all of this notion that government contractors pay themselves all these bonuses, there are caps in place. Don't believe the hype. There are caps in place, and there are audits in place to ensure that it's not happening, and they track the dollars, and it's reported in the incurred cost submission. And that's the first place they look, executive compensation. They tear that up, left, right, up, down. That's the first place they look. The first place they look is executive compensation. The second place they look is subcontractors, because subcontractors, which are the small businesses, don't know what they're doing unless they work with me. Every small business that works with me know what they're doing. And the small business partner doesn't keep their records, which means the prime often can't support the cost, which is why a lot of primes do not like working with small businesses. Or the ones they work with are the ones that know what they're doing, which is why you want to work with me, because you know what you're doing. You know how to power partner. Hello. So they look at executive compensation first. That's a schedule in the incurred cost submission. Every subcontractor that you've ever worked with and their costs. And their costs broken out by labor, materials, all of that. So so the contractors get audited and their costs get audited. The larger the contractor, the deeper the audit. Their business systems get audited. I could sit here, matter of fact, now that now I'm curious, because like I said, I haven't looked executive compensation cap for government contractors. Okay. Okay, the executive compensation cap is issued by the White House. And if anybody want to be ambitious, they can look up you can actually go to DCAA's website, which is the Defense Contract Audit Agency, dcaa.mil, or you can go to acquisition.gov and go to the FAR clause, which is 52.204-10, and look it up. If you want to look that up yourself. You may get a headache, but go look it up. Because reading FAR is reading legalese. I'm going to tell you this. Every government contractor should have a physical copy of FAR, and you should get it from FedPubs. Any client that works for me, I order you a copy of FAR from the U.S. publishing company. And the reason I order it from there, I order your subscription from there, is because they automatically send you the updates. Somebody's going to say, I'd rather look it up online. Well, the problem with that is you don't always get the updates. And If you don't get the updates, you can't stay current, accurate, and complete. Are you always going to keep going up there to know what's going on? More than likely, no. For those of you in the hallway, come on into the room, join the conversation. I'm asking you guys on TikTok to please tap the screen to get me on the FYP and to keep my live from going stagnant and I have to do all this rigmarole to let them know that I'm still live. I don't ask for much on TikTok. I appreciate the gifts if you do give them, but I don't mandate gifts. I just, ask for the interaction because you know how TikTok is. TikTok be TikToking. Um, Anytime a FAR clause is put up for revision or a new FAR clause is put out for suggestion, they always put it up for public comment. If you have a subscription through the U.S. publishing, let me backtrack to come forward. The government has its own publishing house. Let's start there. So if you get the subscription through them, they let you know, hey, they're getting ready to make a change. You may want to be aware of that change. Here's the proposed change. You can read through the change. Now, if you're a subscriber or if you become a part of the chatter family, we will talk about any change that's coming out. We will read through the change. We will discuss the change. And we will say, hey, we think this change is a good change. And we'll submit something saying, hey, we think this is good. We'll read through the change to say, hey, we think this stinks. And we will submit something that says, we think this stinks. I personally think the change to 8A was garbage. I believe it got passed or it's getting passed. I thought it was hot garbage and it hurt small businesses. But too many companies slept on it because everybody was too busy getting DBEs and MBEs, which is garbage, instead of focusing on the 8A. That's the one you needed to be keeping an eye on. And that change to the 8A program, it was hot garbage. It allowed the big dogs to come in and get access to your true set asides, to the one certification that allowed you to come in and get a foothold for 6 years and bid on contracts that you otherwise couldn't bid on, to allow you to scale rapidly. I mean, you could grow like a wildfire with an 8A certification. And everybody just sat back and let that thing pass. I don't get it. I need somebody to explain that to me. And the mentor protege, whoa, don't get me started on that mentor protege program. But I'm going to tell you what the problem with mentor protege was. When I was in corporate, and I don't name the company that I worked for because I don't want to seem like they're endorsing me because they haven't officially endorsed me. Matter of fact, I should ask them to. Anyway, they were talking. You see, I sat in the room and I'm quiet. You can't talk and learn. Sometimes you need to just sit down and be quiet. They talked about the problem with the mentor protege program that they had, and I understood it, especially when I propped open my business and I started doing discovery call after discovery call. Mentor protege was supposed to be you as a small business picked a large prime, let's say General Dynamics. Okay, let me wheel it in because General Dynamics has multiple business units. I want you to understand that. General Dynamics is a big umbrella. General Dynamics is formed by various sister businesses. So let's talk about GDIT. You choose GDIT to be your mentor because you're an IT company. So they're your protege. You're the protege, they're your mentor. You're supposed to come in to your mentor with a plan. These companies were showing up like this. Tell me what to do. And GDIT is like, I got a business to run. What do you what okay, we need to maximize the time. And the companies were coming in like, and when you have a mentor, they're mentoring you and you chose them because they're leaps ahead of you. So you're supposed to come in with an idea. This is what I was talking about yesterday. Vision, plan. The plan and the vision is not the same thing. Everybody wants to reap a harvest, but you don't know what fruit you're planting. So you have the vision. Create the plan. The plan says, I'm planting some grapefruit. I don't know how much water I need to put on here. So you're supposed to go to your mentor and say, I done planted some grapefruit. And what I'm seeing is that sometimes I'm putting too much water and I'm drowning the seed. I need you to show me exactly how do I position myself to be a better seed waterer. What I would have done if I'm sitting in here with GDIT is say, okay, what do you look for in a subcontractor? When I'm subcontracting with you, how do I power partner better? What are you looking for in a power partner, in a subcontractor that will make you always pull me to the top of the list? That would have been my first question. But what was coming up from their proteges was a whole lot of uh. So that was one of the problems that I was hearing. I'm going to go back to the first contract that I had when I first started as a government contractor, because I also government contract as well as consult. Matter of fact, I need to pull some RFPs today. Small businesses, and keep in mind, small businesses as defined by the SBA is in terms of revenue, depending upon your NAICS code, what it is. People keep saying $2 million is in small business. Yes, it is. People take terms from different industry and bring it into common vernacular, and they don't know what they're talking about. That's why they keep wanting to talk about language is subjective. No, you just don't know what you're talking about. But that's another rant for another day. So, the small businesses are coming in and they don't know how to submit a bill to the government. You don't want to learn how to get paid for the work you do? I want to get paid. I did the work, pay me. There's a federal regulation that says that the government must pay small businesses within 15 days. Now, the government has 30 days to pay. But small businesses, they have to pay 15 days from receiving a compliant invoice. Keyword compliant. If your invoice is garbage, they can't pay you. The law also says the government can't tell you how to fix your invoice. So in the RFP, they tell you how to invoice them. So the government says, let me keep this simple. This is what I want you to do in the request for proposal. They tell you, I'm looking for this work. This is the way I'll need the work performed, and this is the way I need you to bill me. And you mean to tell me, while you're bidding on this work, you never bothered to learn how to invoice to get paid? Hello, I need somebody to explain to me why you never bothered to learn how to get paid. See, that's why I have a whole class called Decoding the RFP. Now, I charge a grip for it because I break apart the RFP and walk through it. Because guess what? The RFP becomes a part of your contract by reference. That's something called the Christian doctrine. I reference it, therefore it's a part of the contract. a bit of legalese. But people don't want to read the RFP, but they want $1 million contract. I'm confused. But everybody want to run around and pay somebody $47 to get a proposal. No, you need to learn how to read the RFP so you can get paid and build a business. So you can submit an invoice. So you can scale to submit an incurred cost submission. So you can grow and stabilize. Because honey, I don't know what y'all doing out here. Bad grammar intended, but this ain't it. Respect the industry, learn the rules. Everything isn't a great conspiracy. Some things is your ignorance to the rules. And once you become awareness, man, awareness brings scaling. I'm telling you. And I'm gonna go here with certifications. I can name plenty of companies that never got certified, and they're multi-million-dollar companies in government contracting. And my people, and you know who I'm talking about when I say my people, I want y'all to use a little bit of common sense. Just a little bit. Why do you think you're the only people that need to get certified to bid on a contract and nobody else does? I'm going to pull that training out again on certifications because I actually went into the legislative history behind certifications, why people fought against certifications, and the purpose of them and the role they play. Now, if you want one, fine, go get it. The only one I personally believe you need to have is the 8A. I done said that multiple times. That's the only one you need to have. But if you want the others, go have it. Have at it. But keep in mind, you and your business are two separate things per the Supreme Court and per the IRS. So, we're going to move on. Anybody have any questions? Because I know I dropped a whole lot this morning. Because I went over incurred cost submissions. I dropped contract level, project level, task level, billing level, and the difference. Because the contract isn't billed on the contract level all the time. It's not always billed on the project level. It's not always billed on task level. You have to know where it's billed at. And your accounting system needs to reflect that. That's why you need a project-capable accounting system. They're not trying to stop 8A. They're not trying to stop the 8A program. They're morphing the 8A so that the big dogs, see, here's what's going on with 8A. Their companies, there's two things going on with 8A. The 8A program is a set-aside program for small businesses to accelerate in government contracting. It is the only program where there are contracts set aside solely and exclusively for small businesses who have been in business for 2 years, have more than 2 government clients. That's why you qualify. That's how you qualify for 8A. You have to be in business for 2 years and have more than 2 government clients. And your income, I believe, is $50,000. They just made some changes, so I'm just saying those 3 qualifiers. There are exceptions to the rules. We're going with the rule as it is. The 8A program is a 6-year program. You need a strategy for 8A because most people waste 4 years trying to figure out how to use it. Those contracts are only for companies in that program, but those contracts are $1 million, multi-million-dollar program contracts. But the companies who come out or graduate fail at a 90% rate. So what happens? Your big dog companies like your General Dynamics, your Lockheeds, your Boeings buy those failing companies. But they have to buy them, but those 8A contracts have to go to another 8A company. What this change in the 8A program does is allow those companies to keep those 8A contracts. That's what that change does. Whereas before, GD would buy the company, leave the company separate. It was just owned by GD and allow the 8A contract to run out. They was failing when they went into the 8A program. That's why they made the revenue criteria so low. The 8A program was designed to give you a leg up. And it was designed to be like it's the government's form of an accelerator for government contractors. So you do 8A with the mentor protege, and you're supposed to accelerate. You get what I mean? You take the 8A program, slap the mentor protege on there, you hire a consultant coach, and boom, skyrocket. What happens is people go into the 8A program with the arrogance and the conceit, and I'm calling it out, of I don't need nobody. I'm still not going to spend the money to get coaching. I'm still not going to spend the money on getting a consult. I'm going to go into mentor protege expecting the prime to tell me how to run my business. I'm still going to freebie my way and make $1 million. And they fail, lose their business, and then they want to blame somebody else. No, you cannot freebie your way to a multi-million-dollar business. It doesn't happen. It has never happened. And when you study the people who have built multi-million-dollar businesses, now for those of you who don't want $1 million businesses, this ain't for you. But when you have studied people who have built $1 million businesses, they all had a mentor. They've all hired consultants. They come in to one, look at their operations, and two, tell them what to help them build a plan, and three, skyrocket. And I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna take it a little bit higher. Ain't none of them ever told their consultants what to charge. You got to pay to play. And you've got to recognize what you don't know. I know what I know. There's some things I don't know. And guess what? What I don't know, I go hire somebody. And if I can't hire them, I figure it out. I figure out how to hire them. Plain and simple. It really is that plain and that simple. We have an addiction. Excuse me, correct my language. There is an addiction in this country to free labor, and nobody is obligated to do anything for free to help you feed your family, because who is feeding theirs? And with that, I'm going to close out this segment of Contracting Chatter. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another installment. At the end of June, Q&A Friday closes out. If you're not a part of the Chatter family, you don't get Q&A Friday. So I'm going to put up everywhere, including on my calendar, a way to join Chatter Family. It's $9.99 a month, $110 a year if you pay in full. That's a $10 discount for those of you who want to know. We meet up, do subscriber only lives. Matter of fact, the subscriber only sessions. You get a newsletter. You join my email list so you get access to when I'm having classes. You invest at the level you expect a return. When I first heard that term, I understood it, but I wasn't walking in it. But when I started walking in it, I saw a return. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.